Okay. Hey, everyone. Okay. I'm gonna have another Mafia the Old Country part up tonight also. It is processing right now. Hey, everyone. Hope you guys are all having a great start to the weekend. Hey everyone. Hey Mr. Alfie, Drifter Kids Menace, True Gamer Zach, Mr. Hopkins. Yeah, we will do a playthrough Liberty City Stories also. It's going good, Shiny Knight. How are you? Finally, I got accepted a job offer for FedEx Indiana. Oh, I'm happy for you, Isaiah. I could do a stream of that one day, a reward. Yeah, I'll have more cosplays for Liberty City Stories, I will, definitely. Yeah, just been a bit busy with Mafia. Have I played Battlefield 6? I'm gonna try the beta tomorrow. Metal Gear Solid 2 tomorrow. I'll have the next part of that. Loving Metal Gear so far. Thank you, Zach. Hey, April. For Left 4 Dead and Halloween, would I use a Nightmare mod? What's that, Mad Attack? Thank you for the super chat. What is that? I missed so many details of Metal Gear Solid 2. Like what, dude? Is it the Codex calls?
Hey! Who the hell are you? Stop! Who's that there? Inbred. They're enough to make an honest outlaw sick. You best make yourself known quick!
Did I just go? Is there something there?
People say there's no stealth in Red Dead. Okay. What the? Why am I not hitting him? Okay.
It's over, Posse.
There we go. Did Darko deserve to die? You're talking about Mafia. No, Mafia, GTA 4. I think it was actually better to spare him. Can't wait for the next Mafia the Old Country playthrough episode. First episode is awesome. Thank you, Waltz Money. Thanks for the super chat. Did Frankie Scaletta do the right thing by distancing herself from Vito in Mafia 2? Yeah, but it was also her fault because she knew her brother was in the Mafia and she asked her brother for help. You know, I kind of don't feel bad for her in a way because it was, she was the one who came to Vito begging him for help. And what did she think was gonna happen? Also, here's the thing is, when a mobster tells you he's not gonna hurt somebody, he's gonna hurt them. That's it. So, like, yeah, when Vito said, oh, you know, that, he said, oh, I'm not gonna hurt him, don't worry, he's gonna hurt him. Yeah, I'll play Ghost of Yotei, definitely. When are you gonna do it on the member exclusive stream? I'm gonna probably, it's sometime next week, I'm gonna announce it soon. Check the channel member posts. It was obvious that he was, Angelo, the way that he just responded, so it wouldn't have worked on Vito. My day was okay, RJ. How are you? How are you? Battlefield 6, I'm looking forward to playing that beta tomorrow. Can you do the game The Getaway? Yes, I played The Getaway when I was a kid, so I could do those games. There's also Gangs of London, which I know takes place in the same universe as The Getaway. It's another game. I might do Bill for that, cosplay Mason. Hey, Long John, Silver, how are you, dude? Okay, Brandon, I hope you enjoy it, too. It's a great game. So far, having fun with it. I'm actually surprised there's money in the game. I didn't think there was going to be money. I thought it was going to be, like, Mafia Definitive Edition.
Oh, thanks.
Do you prefer controller or mouse and keyboard controller? Have you ever played Scarface The World Is Yours? Yes, I did 2 playthroughs of it. There's a playthrough of it on my channel.
Filthy little rat.
My least favorite character in GTA 4, you mean the character I dislike the most? Dimitri is the character I dislike the most. I'm a big fan. I was watching your GTA 5 videos, and they've helped me so much. I really like your GTA 5 videos. You're the best. Thank you, Monster, Shremmy. Thank you, dude. Everyone tap that like button, please. Thank you, RJ. Thanks, man.
Not for me.
You can, Brandon. Are you a fan of the King of the Hill? I did. I watched King of the Hill when I was younger. I gotta rewatch it again. There's a lot of episodes I never watched, so I gotta rewatch it before I watch the new season. Why and when did you stop using auto-aim? I wanted to make Red Dead Online more fun, and I thought it would be more fun by using free aim. Who do you think is the best companion in Fallout 3? For good karma, it will be Fox. For evil karma, probably Jericho. Oh, there's people he can do that through. He can there's people that he can meet up that can organize that. Man, people in prison have connections. They can organize hits even when they're in prison.
I wasn't expecting company. Cell's over there. There you go.
I don't pay attention to stuff like that. People can do whatever. I just tend to ignore stuff like that mostly. Okay, let me make room in the posse here. The posse is open if anyone wants to join it. I could miss the tiger, yes. Let me go to my Moonshine shack. Check that out. Maybe, Brandon. I'll think about it. Vampy's Mr. Sunshine from Saints Row 2. Yeah, somebody told me that. But, one guy told me I missed a lot of stuff, I missed a lot of stuff in my first part of Metal Gear Solid 2. What did I miss? Or second part? Is it like the Codex calls or something? My favorite thing about Yakuza? Probably the story. I know, so many of the side activities. Hey, Daniel. What's the best weapon in Red Dead Redemption 2? Probably the Lancaster repeater. Huge, magazine and very little to no recoil. I don't see Marcel. Why was Sicily so poor? Because it was ignored by the Kingdom of Italy. Italy was controlled mostly by the aristocrats in the north, and they treated the south like crap. They looked at the south like peasants. Yeah, Mafia the Old Country is great. Yeah, 2 months, it'll be October. I hate the North. Oh, that's, yes, Furio says that in Sopranos. Where would you like the setting of Mafia 4? Maybe Las Vegas, that's what a lot of people have been asking for. What's the difference between Brotherhood of Steel East and West? West is just obsessed with, West is obsessed with the technology, while East wants to help people. Oh, he's back there? Let me go back and check. You should play something turn-based. So I play Empire of Sin, which is kind of turn-based. Let me check if Marcella's back in there then. Yeah, I could do another Red Dead Redemption 2 playthrough. No, I haven't, Menace. What is that?
I have finished this batch. We can.
Yeah, Mafia 2 will be next. Suggest current events of Ireland attack incident. Wait, what happened in Ireland, Pirate? Thank you for the super chat.
Of course.
I do, Minion Dave.
All good batches, but this one is superior. Eh?
Which World War II submachine gun is your,
Will appreciate it, and most important, they will pay for it too. Now, all you have to do is to be attentive, eh?
What is, my favorite World War II submachine gun? MP40, probably. Yeah, probably MP40, I'd say. MP40, very little recoil, cheap, large magazine. Yeah. Thank you, Glover Fox, for the super chat. Hey, Pro, hope you're doing amazing. Do you own any handheld consoles? Game Boy Advanced, SP, PSP. That's about it, yeah. Oh, thank you. Somebody32, $100 donation. Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks, dude. Update on my job. A manager who was leaving told me my boss was saying things about me behind my back. Saying that I was yesterday not sick when in fact I was throwing up. I called off and my boss made an insult rumor saying I was at an interview. I wasn't. Messed up. My manager who was leaving told me my... well, I'm sorry about that, somebody32. That you're dealing with that stuff. Is the fact that here's the thing is, when managers call out that everybody's supposed to believe them, but when an employee is sick or he cannot come into work, the manager always thinks they have to be lying. That guy is a so your manager who was leaving told me my boss, so your boss, so there's the owner, I'm assuming then. So your manager was leaving told you the boss, who's the owner, that he was talking about you behind your back. I'm sorry that you're going through that, Pirate. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Everyone give a special shout out there to somebody32. I will say this also, somebody32. I can kind of relate to you. I had a similar situation happen to me. It wasn't necessarily that, it wasn't necessarily the exact same thing, but it was a supervisor that was actually leaving in a couple weeks. But what happened was, it was the day before Easter, and I remember that I asked for that day off. I asked for that day off weeks in advance. My manager wouldn't give it to me, even though I'd asked for it. And he told me I needed to find somebody to cover for me, but nobody wanted to cover for me. Nobody whatsoever. And what ended up happening is that day, because my mom, she really wanted me to go to church with her. I'm not a religious person, but, I wanted to go to church to make my mom happy that day. And what happened was, I told my my manager, that the store is empty, there's nobody in the store, I finished all my tasks, can I, go home early right now? And my manager told me you had to take that up with the supervisor. So I talked to the supervisor and I said to her, I finished all my tasks, can I go home? And she started arguing with me, she gave me an attitude, and she ended up saying to me, fine, just go home, go. And I, ended up leaving. And after I left, one of my friends who was still working there later texted me and told me that she was talking behind my back and that she said that I lied and I wasn't, going to church with my mom, and I just didn't feel like working and I was just being lazy, even though I finished all my tasks. And that kind of really pissed me off. That really did, just really annoy me because I had done all my tasks. I never talked bad about that supervisor behind her back. and that just, it kind of just really pissed me off that I just went, you know, had somebody just disrespect me like that. But I know how you're feeling, somebody 32. Hey, Robert. It's people can make those fake AI voices, whatever the hell it is. Most people know that it's fake. It's not me. I will I believe in free speech generally, so if I wanted to I could strike those videos, but I'm not gonna do stuff like that. They can just make themselves look stupid online. How does it feel to be one of the best YouTubers? Thank you, Lamont. It feels good. I'm gonna try my best to stay a member on your channel while this is going on. I hope to support your channel as long as possible. Thank you, somebody32. I appreciate it, dude. I got ousted for not showing up enough on stream. Wait, what do you mean, pirate? Ousted? What do you mean? You don't have to, pirate. You don't have to. Anybody who's like guilt tripping you for not, coming by my streams, don't worry about stuff like that. It's like, watch my streams whenever you want to. Don't feel guilty about not coming to one of my streams or whatever people say. It ultimately the only thing that matters is what I say. I mean, you watch my channel, so like don't listen to other people. So I don't take offense if you don't come by my streams or anything like that. Watch my streams whenever you want, dude. But you told me that something happened. Pirate, can you leave a comment again? You don't have to super chat. But if you could tell me what happened in Ireland. You said something happened in Ireland. What was that? What's the deal with the Brotherhood of Steel Outcasts? How are they different? They just believe in collecting technology. That's it. They don't want to help Wastelanders. What's your favorite playthrough you ever did on the channel? My favorite playthrough I ever did on the channel? I'd have to think about that one. Thank you, GTA 5, for the super chat. Thanks, dude. Favorite playthrough? The playthrough I enjoyed the most? Probably GTA 4. Yeah, probably GTA 4. When's that Xbox handheld coming out?
You gonna take that? I'll shoot you like a sick hound.
I'm good, Trevor. How's your night going? I like your Watch Dogs playthrough. Thank you, April. Do you know the Bop House? What's that? Thank you, GTA 5, for the super chat. Thanks, dude. Wolfenstein one day. It's on my list of playthroughs to do. Play Call to Arms to receive 50% off any weapon. The West Coast Brotherhood of Steel is the best. They stick to their traditional values and the Brotherhood Codex. Yeah, and they thank you for the super chat, Sebi, but they also interfere in the lives of Wastelanders, and they will harass Wastelanders. They'll take stuff from Wastelanders that isn't theirs. On top of that, the Brotherhood of Steel, a lot of times they think that Wastelanders are inferior to them. They're not as bad as the Enclave, obviously, but they don't like Wastelanders. Olivia Soprano was a horrible person. Oh yeah, she was evil. Did Pirate leave us... Okay, as for the Ireland incident, some racial incident of targeted people being attacked, not saying what race, but you look it up, Patrick, related to, Oh well. Thank you, pirate. Oh, that's horrible. That's horrible. Hopefully the police catch those the idiots that are doing that stuff. What's your next current event story? I was thinking about doing a story about this scammer that dressed up as a bear. So what there was this scammer that committed insurance fraud, and do you know what he did was he dressed up as a bear, like an actual bear, and what he did was he attacked his car and damaged his car, and then he uploaded like the camera footage saying that a bear had like attacked his car and he wanted like an insurance payout. Like, I'm not joking, this actually happened. You can look it up. Look up insurance scammer dresses up as bear and attacks his own car. It actually happened recently. It's like the most bizarre thing I've heard about. Read previous comment before consider current even. Let me see. Thank you, pirate. I visited a stream of a YouTuber that I liked, and then he got pissed that I wasn't visiting enough, and that he was also pissed that I didn't donate. What? That's stupid. Don't watch that channel anymore. That channel is not worth your time. Look, that bear story was 8 months ago, was it? I saw a video, it was recently, it was like 3 days ago. I saw it, like, it popped up in my feed. But, look, anyone who does, you know, crap like that, you know, that person, you know, that's a scumbag. You don't watch a channel like that. YouTubers should be grateful for every single view that they get. They're not entitled to donations. Nobody is owed a donation. And any YouTuber that tells you that you have to donate to them is just a scumbag. Don't watch that channel. And here's the thing. If you're ever watching a YouTuber and during the live stream they say, oh, you know, you gotta donate to me because you get free content, tell them this. Tell them that you don't get free content. It would only be free content if there was no ads whatsoever on it. But what's happening is these YouTubers, they get the majority of their money through ad revenue. That's where, you know, most YouTubers get the majority of their money through. So here's the thing about this is if you come to my channel, like anybody here, if you come to my channel and you watch my channel, even if you have never donated once to me and you've watched my channel for years, for example, you have helped me make money. Even if you never donate to me, because you come to my channel, you watch my channel, and then the ads pop up. Even if you buy, like, YouTube Premium, you're still, you know, contributing to my channel. So like, just by watching the ads, you are contributing to my channel, and you're helping me, you know, get an income. So that's the thing is, when I can't stand it when I hear, like, these YouTubers say, oh, you know, my viewers get free content. No, your viewers don't get free content. Your viewers come to your channel, and, you know, they watch ads, and you make money from that. So it would only be free content if there was no ads on it. But if there are ads, you know, you're making money from that. So, like, you know, any YouTuber that says, like, oh, you know, you're getting free content and blah blah blah, all this, don't listen to that stuff. Damn, okay. You're the only YouTuber I've ever given money to. Thank you, Zach. I will just read the super chats in just one moment, guys. Just hold on 1 second. I'm just in this little bit of a situation here right now. I'll get to everyone's in a moment here. Pro, do you like Enzo? Yeah, he seems like an okay guy to me. I don't have a problem with him. The thing about Enzo, the thing about Enzo, the one thing I don't understand about him, which I wish that they would have, can a revolver jam? Any gun can jam. Revolvers have a much less chance of jamming, but any gun can jam. Anything can. Even AK-47s can jam, despite people telling you they can't. The thing I found weird about Enzo is that he knew how to read. which no Carusi almost like no Carusi would almost know how to read. Like Carusi boys did not know how to read. Like the mine workers, they did not know how to read or write. So I wish that they would have explained that how Enzo knew how to read because his friend asked him to read. His postcard. I wish that they would have explained that a little bit more where he learned how to read. And the other thing is, one thing I found a little weird is he knew how to hold a gun, he knew how to fire a gun, he knew how to load the gun. He's never touched a firearm before in his life. He grew up as a slave, so like him kind of just being thrown in and just knowing how to use the revolver, knowing how to use the carbine repeater. I thought that was like a little weird. It would have made a little bit more sense if there was like a mission maybe showing him how to use guns and a target practice mission or something like that. I just thought that was a little weird. I know it's a game, but I look at these small little details. But I do like him as a character. I'm not complaining about his character. I like him. So he is a good character. Oh, let me look at the chat here. What are you going to do once YouTube does their age verification BS? I've been watching as much mature stuff as possible so I don't get read as a minor. I'm kind of scared, not going to lie to you, man. When is that happening? And is it for everybody? I thought it was only for the UK. Isn't it only for British people? Is it going to happen also to the American YouTube? But I could do a video on it this week coming up. Like, this week, maybe like Monday, I could do a video on it. Because, like, the weekend I'm kind of busy. But Monday, maybe I could do a video on it. Thank you, Cayman. You heard of Unnamed? He's known for speedrun GTA 5? I don't think so, Lamar. If I watch his channel, I might know him. A lot of times I recognize YouTubers by their videos instead of their names. So, like, if I probably have seen one of his videos in the past. What are your thoughts on the UK Face ID situation? Thank you, Rude Vault Boy. It's a violation of free speech. And it's government intruding on your lives. And here in America, that age verification thing in America, that's a violation of the First Amendment, right to free speech. And I would also argue that it's a violation of the Fourth Amendment, unreasonable search and seizures. Because you could argue that is an unreasonable search and seizure. Because here's the thing is, when the police talk to you on the street, you don't have to show them ID. In most cases, you don't have to show them an ID, and the reason for that is because the Fourth Amendment protects you. You have no obligation to show the police your ID. You can if you want to, but you don't really have to. Maybe if you're being detained, maybe then you would have to provide ID. But if you're not being detained, the police are just talking to you. You have no obligation whatsoever to show ID. So this idea that now the government is going to be the nanny state and is going to basically police you and is going to do crap like this. And ask you for an ID. I don't like it. That is un-American. I don't think anything like that would ever happen in America. But the UK, I can't believe that stuff is just happening. It is disgusting. Thank you, Rude Vault Boy, for the super chat. Disappointed you missed current event suggestion. What suggestion do you have, Ephelis? And I'm sorry, dude. I'm just so busy right now to the Mafia series. Like, I was playing Mafia the Old Country last night. Like, I played till like 7 o'clock in the morning. I got up to like chapter 4, I think it was. So I recorded a bunch of stuff. I'm actually going to upload another part right after the stream today. I've just been really busy with that. I'll just try to get through that game. You should make a video on reacting to someone making a video on your ums. Nah, Barry, I wouldn't do that. Thank you for the super chat. Because that would give the person attention, and I don't do stuff like that. I don't pay attention to stuff like that. I just ignore it. Is it common for retail workers to have a bad diet? Yeah, I could see that. You're not really eating the most healthy things at lunch. That's true too. But do you know what workers, can anyone here guess what common American job, and this job exists in other countries, but it's a very common job in America. I'll give a hint. A lot of people in small towns have this job. This job, people in this field have very bad health, like on what they eat. Like they typically eat really unhealthy. Can anyone guess what job this is that I'm describing? Let me see. I missed your super chat, Random Fist. Let me look. I'm sorry. Are you gonna play the Battlefield 6 open beta this weekend? Yes, I'll play it. I'll play it. Pat, you translate, Grazibov TV Polish channel. What? I don't know this channel. I know a few of the Polish channels. Like I know TVN, for example. I know that one. I know Telewizja Republika. That one I know too. But I don't trucking. Yes, it's trucking. Truckers have some of the worst health in the country. Like they eat very unhealthy. The reason that truckers eat very unhealthy is because they're on the move constantly, and so they don't have time to cook, and so they are buying fast food. They're buying hamburgers, hot dogs, the such. So truckers, the only way that you would be able to eat healthy as a trucker would be to stop at diners, and good diners. That's the only way. But not every stop has like a good diner. So like not everywhere where they stop has like a good diner. So you could technically eat healthy if you stop at some good diners as a trucker, but it's very hard. And also their diners are more expensive than fast food. So at the same time, there's a money factor too. Damn, so you can't even meal prep? Some truckers have like a fridge in their one of my friends is a trucker. Some truckers have like a fridge in their in their truck, and they'll make sandwiches, they'll maybe make some food that they'll microwave. They have a microwave in the back of their truck, but a lot of truckers they'll just eat out. YouTube is doing an update on the 13th. So that's when that's happening, the 13th. What? You got a pool a couple days ago. Oh, have fun with that, Brandon. Pools aren't just fun to enjoy, but they're also good for your health. Swimming is great for your health. Hey, Pro, what's the best way to invest into rental properties? I can either put down 5 or 10,000 unless I get an FHA loan and do a home hack. Thank you, Praise the Dawn, for the super chat. Let me see here. General needs help selling something. Here's what I'll say. Praise the Dawn. Thank you for the super chat. Save up if you're gonna get into rental properties, right? The thing I will tell you is don't go to cheap route. Don't go to cheap route because a lot of landlords, what they do is they want to buy the cheapest house in the market. Like they'll just search Zillow and they'll just see, oh, we know what's the cheapest house in the area, and they'll go for that right away. Don't do that. And here's the thing: there's a bunch of reasons why you never buy the cheapest house if you're gonna get into rentals. The first reason is that the cheapest house you're not gonna get the most rent from. Second reason is if it's the cheapest house, it also has problems, and you're gonna have to deal with that. Third reason is it's probably old. Cheapest houses are always probably the oldest houses usually. At the same time too. Is me personally, I own 2 rental properties. I'm gonna probably get one more, and then I'm done at that point. But if I'm looking for like a rental property, I am not looking for a house more than 20 years. 2000 is, my max, year. So like after 2000, I'm not really going to look at the properties. I know people tell me that houses from the 90s are fine and stuff like that, but I just, I try to buy the youngest house possible just so that I have peace of mind and I don't have to worry about, stuff breaking overnight or, other stuff. Yes, going cheap leads to expensive repairs. Like both of my rental properties are from 2012. Both of the houses are built in 2012, so there's no I've had minimal problems. I have not had any structural problems ever in my homes. I have had at most the most expensive repair that I've ever had at a rental property is a dishwasher broke. That was the most expensive repair that I've had. I haven't had anything worse than that. So that was it was worth buying the newer properties. But the other tip that I'll give you, and I know this isn't easy for everyone, I know this is hard for some people, but just save as much money as you can. If you don't need the rental property right now, don't get it if you don't need it right now. If you have the cash to do it, then I guess you go for it. But if you don't have the cash for it, don't do it, because you're gonna be in a loan, you're gonna be stuck in that for some time, and it's gonna take you a long time before you make a profit. Because here's the thing is, when you are in debt, you're not making a profit. That's what people don't understand, because you're paying off the debt. So you're not really making a profit. So until the debt is paid off, you're not really going to be profiting from the rental house. That's what people say. People say, oh, I'll buy the house and I'll make it into a rental and I'll let the house pay off for itself. But how many years are you going to be doing that exactly? So I would say is that save up as much cash as you can, And if you can buy the house all in cash, do it. If you can buy it all in cash without without a loan, do it. But if you can't do that, then save up as much cash as you can and try to put a really big, payment towards it before you get a loan. That way the loan isn't that big, the interest rate isn't that high, and on top of that, you can also pay it down quicker. And if you're going to be paying off the loan, pay the loan a little bit more on the loan every month just so it shrinks it down, and then you have a less of a percent and you can just pay it off over time. That's basically what I'll say about that. I don't like borrowing money. I don't like that idea. I don't like loans. If I'm going to, buy something, I'm going to buy it, with my own money. I know it's not easy always getting cash for a house, but it depends on, I guess it depends on the area. If you're living in a place like, New York or California, buying a house in cash is almost impossible in, those states. Almost impossible. But if you are, if you, for example, live in the Midwest, or you live in, some of the southern states, for example, or even if you live in the mountain states, you can buy houses for cash in a lot of those states, and they are only a fraction, like a third of the price of like California or New York homes, and they're even bigger a lot of times too. So that's what I'll say about it. I hope I gave you some advice on that. How often do you use Chicago or do you mean O'Hare Airport in Chicago? O'Hare Airport, I've used it a bunch. It's a stopover flight between the town I live in the Midwest and also in New York, where my family lives. So there is no flights because the town I live in, the airport is very small. We don't have like large planes, and so what happens is I'm taking like a flight a lot of times to Minneapolis or Chicago. Those are the places that I go to a lot of times. Thank you, QC, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you. No problem. What do you think of Franziska von Karma? I think she was kind of ruthless in the early Ace Attorney games, but I think she kind of became more of a better person in Ace Attorney Investigations. Have I ever bought anything from auction houses? No, not really. However, though, I have bought guns at auctions, if that counts. Not really auction houses, but more like online. Like, I bought a bunch of historical firearms online. Like, I bought my Carcano rifle at an auction online, and I bought my M1 Garand at an auction online also. I have tried to get, like, the ultimate World War II, firearms collection. So I have so many World War II firearms, and I've been, like, I'm big into history, and so I've tried to collect as many of those as I can, but I've mostly gotten those from auctions. Pro spawn at General's Camp. Okay, give me a moment here. Does your M1 Grant work? Oh, absolutely. I fired it. It works. I missed what, QC? QC, can you post a comment one more time? I'm sorry. How about storages? It would be interesting to see you on Storage Wars. About that is a massive risk. The storage bidding stuff is a massive risk because you're bidding on what you don't know. You're hoping that they have something good inside there that you can get. The thing about the storages is you have to also remember the reason that their stuff is going up for auction is because they didn't pay the storage fees. And so their stuff got repossessed by the storage company. So chances are they might not have anything of value. What made you decide to move to your area in the Midwest? A few reasons. I wanted a change in scenery. I wanted to move to a different part of America. I wanted to see more of my country. Second reason, probably the most important one, is probably taxes. By moving out to the Midwest, I saved so much money. So much money. Like literally the amount of taxes that I was paying in New York compared to moving out to the Midwest, and I'm still able to do YouTube, the same exact job I was doing, the same money that I was making in New York, I'm making in the Midwest, and my money is worth more in the Midwest. I can buy stuff for cheaper. I've made so much money, more money going to the Midwest. So it's helped me out so much. Midwest has low taxes. For the most part, yes. I mean, like, Illinois, for example, counts as the Midwest, but I wouldn't say that Illinois has low taxes. But for the most part in Midwest, yes, Midwest is pretty affordable. Well, I haven't played the second one, Hamzat. I'm gonna play them one day. I've heard sales tax differs between states, yes. Are cheaters still rampant? Cheaters are on Red Dead. They do exist, but I haven't seen them in a long time. It's been like months since I've seen a cheater on this game. But the cheaters that are on console, they're not like using mods. Most of the time, it's some kind of glitch. It's some kind of glitch where they're teleporting, or you can't lock onto them. The most common glitch cheaters use that I've seen on Red Dead is I've seen people that they don't appear on the map. So there's players that they'll run up to you in free mode. They don't appear on the map. They know where you are, and you can't lock onto them. So you cannot lock onto them, and they don't appear on the map. It's some kind of glitch they do. The only way that you can really kill them is using explosive ammo or incendiary, or you tackle them. That's really the only way, but you can't lock onto them, and they can lock onto you, which makes it just really annoying. I'm considering Kansas, Dakotas, Montana, and Wyoming. Those are all great states, Zach. All of them are great states. Will I collect Vietnam War weapons? Sure. Yeah, I would be open to that too. You can't get them in automatic. You need a class 3 license for that, and they're really expensive. But you can get Vietnam era weapons in semi-automatic. Like you can get in Vietnam era AK. You can get a Vietnam era M16 in semi. What are your thoughts on Utah? I don't know much about Utah. I know Utah is Salt Lake City, but I don't know much about the state, though. What is the most expensive weapon that I own? That is a great question. The most expensive weapon that I own, I want to see if anybody in the chat knows this gun. It's a... While the gun was mass-produced during World War II, it actually didn't see as much service as some of the other rifles, and because of sanctions, it also makes the gun, today very expensive. But it's the SVT-40. Does anybody know that one? That is probably my most prized possession, my most prized rifle. The most expensive one that I have is the SVT-40. And does anyone know that one? It is a and not only is the SVT-40 probably my most prized one, but it's also probably the funnest gun to shoot. It is. It's a World War II Soviet semi-automatic rifle that fires the same cartridge as the Mosin Nagant. It's generally an enjoyable rifle to shoot. But about the SVT-40, I bought it in 2019. It's way more expensive now. Is that the one with the poison round? No, that is the AK-74 that you're thinking of. The AK-74 is the one with the poison round. But the AK-74's bullet isn't really poisoned. It's the reason that the AK-74 is called the poison round is because when an AK-74 bullet hits a body, like the 545 by 39, it twists and it travels in like a strange direction, like it doesn't go straight through, so it makes like a very nasty wound, and that's why it's oftentimes called the poison bullet, because when it hits somebody, it's very hard for doctors to treat them. So that's why it's called the poison bullet, but that bullet isn't actually poisonous. How expensive is the ammo? The SVT-40's ammo is actually very cheap. Because it's very common. The Mosin Nagant. The Mosin Nagant is the most common bolt-action rifle out there. It's the Mosin Nagant. The Soviets made over 20 million Mosin Nagants. So it's the Mosin Nagant has ammo for it. Those are very cheap, and it's the same ammo. It's not the ammo that's expensive. It's the gun itself. Like when I bought my SVT-40, I got it for $1,500. That's what I got it for, and it was a good SVT-40. But today it's gonna be probably even way more than that. A Mosin Nagant, you can probably back in when I was younger in like 2013, you know, you could buy a Mosin gun for, you know, $100. That's how much it was. But now today it's just, you know, it's probably going to be, you know, $200, $300 for a Mosin. What's the worst weapon that I own? Good question also. The worst weapon that I own is actually it's actually a gun I've actually never fired. I've never fired the gun. I don't even know if the gun works. I don't know if the gun is functional. And it's the only gun that I think I regret purchasing. The only firearm I regret purchasing. Let me ask the chat if anybody knows this rifle. This gun, it's called the VZ51. I think it's VZ51 rifle. Does anybody know that one? It's a Czechoslovakian semi-automatic rifle. So the Czechs wanted to make their own rifle that was similar to the Soviet SKS. And the thing about the VZ rifle is the difference between the VZ rifle and the SKS, it looks kind of similar to an SKS, but it's different. The VZ rifle has a detachable magazine, where the SKS, at least the Soviet SKS, does not have a detachable magazine. The Chinese version does, but the Soviet one doesn't. And it also doesn't even fire the same round, where SKS fires 7.62 by 39, the VZ fires 7.62 by 45. It's a really weird bullet, really weird cartridge. No other gun was designed for that cartridge, except the VZ rifle. Maybe it's VZ52. I think it's VZ52, actually. Maybe it's that one. I remember it was VZ something. But the only ammunition designed for that gun was that gun specifically. And because it fires such a weird cartridge, the ammunition is extremely expensive. And not only that, nobody makes ammunition for that gun anymore. That gun, nobody produces ammo for it. You can't find ammo for it. The only ammo that you can find is surplus ammo. So you would have to buy like old Czechoslovakian, you know, surplus ammo that's like corrosive, which I don't want to, you know, touch that. So that's so nobody produces like a modern, you know, version of the 7.62 by 45. So basically, it's like a firearm that, you know, that you really can't get ammo for anymore. And the reason that I bought that rifle was because I remembered that I was in a gun show many years ago, and I got kind of, I don't know if I said I would get scammed, but the guy told me that it's a very rare Czechoslovakian semi-automatic rifle, and he wasn't necessarily lying when he said that. But the thing is that I didn't do enough research, and I thought it looked cool because it looked like an SKS, but it had a detachable magazine. And I ended up buying it, but then I found out the ammunition is even more, just as rare as the gun itself. And so I've had that gun for many years. I've never had a single round for it, and I kind of regret having it. That's it. And maybe it's an expensive, you know, gun today, but, you know, that's probably was my worst purchase in a firearm, was probably that. It was probably a dumb one. What is my dream historical gun? If I could have any gun on the planet, any gun that I wanted, that would be... I think I can answer that one. If I could have a single gun, one gun on the planet, that there's only one gun that I can think of that I would want. And this gun, if I had this gun, I'd be a millionaire because of how expensive this firearm is. It would be the Hellriegel. If anybody knows what the Hellriegel is. If the Hellriegel, if that gun was found today, that gun would be worth millions of dollars. Millions. That's how that gun would be worth. The reason that the Hellriegel would be worth millions of dollars is because it was a prototype Austro-Hungarian machine gun, and it wasn't a submachine gun. People think that it's a submachine gun because of Battlefield 1, but it wasn't a submachine gun. It was actually a machine gun. And it was a prototype gun. There was only 5 of them made. Only 5 of them were ever made. So it's not like Battlefield 1 where there's like every single Austrian soldier has one. That didn't happen. It never really saw any service in combat. But here's the thing. Those 5 Hellriegels, nobody knows what happened to them. There's no existing examples. We don't know what happened to it. And the thing about this is we don't even know how the gun works. It's a water-cooled machine gun. It's one of the first machine guns of its time. And so nobody really knows how the gun works. We only have pictures of it, And here's the thing, that magazine that you see in Battlefield 1, that's a fake magazine. The gun does not actually have that magazine in real life. So that magazine's a made-up magazine that DICE made for it. But that's basically it, is the Hellriegel. If the Hellriegel was found today, it would be worth millions of dollars. Millions. Because we would put it in a museum, it would be studied, you know, seen how much, how it actually worked, because we don't know the internals. We don't even know how it worked. You know, that's it. I think I don't even know what cartridge the Hellriegel fired. So yeah, Hellriegel. If I had to get one, it would be Hellriegel. Are you into Soviet aircraft, and if so, which one? Thank you, JDM, for the super chat. Nah, I'm not really into vehicles. You know, vehicles I'm never really much into. I've always been into rifles. I haven't even really been a big pistol guy. Pistols I'm not even really a big fan. I'm not against them. You know, I think people have a right to own handguns. But I've just never been a big fan of pistols. It's just like I've always just liked rifles, especially like older rifles mostly. But that's oh hey GB. What about the Colibri, the smallest pistol? You're talking about that small pocket pistol. It's like tiny. It's like the round is like a 5mm, I think, because it's so tiny. It is nice outfit, thank you. What about revolver? Same thing. Would you own 45 ACP if you wanted to? Well, the thing about this is last year was the first time that I fired a handgun. I've never fired handguns, and I fired so many rifles over the years, but I've never fired a handgun. And I fired my friend's Glock, and I guess I just didn't like the Glock. I didn't like the shape of it, holding it. I didn't like the trigger on it. But my friend then also had a 1911, and I fired the 1911, and it was kind of like World War II style. That's what it looked like. And I thought the 1911 was going to be horrible to handle. That's what I thought. But it was actually better to handle than the Glock. I liked the 1911 more. And I thought the 1911's recoil was going to be insane for a 45. I thought it was going to be like really bad, but it actually wasn't that bad. But I liked the 1911. That was the one I liked. I liked it better than the Glock. And I liked the trigger. The trigger on the 1911 was way better, in my opinion, than the Glock trigger. I just like the trigger on that one so much more. Yeah, so I like 1911. Yeah, GB, they're great. Isn't Glock semi-automatic? Yes, it is. Are you talking about that new SIG handgun that like can go off on its own? Is that the one that you're talking about? Yeah, that was like people are like warning about that, like to stay away from it. I think it's a SIG. Is it the P320? I think that's the one. I think that's the bad one. That's the one that can yeah, that's the one. Isn't let me see something right now here. I'm just curious on something. Cause that controversy with the SIG happened hang on. SIG. Okay, let's see here. The SIG have its own stocks. I think if it does. I'm really curious what their stock price is. Oh man, wow, yeah. Is SIG Group, is this the same thing as SIG Sauer? But oh yeah, I'm looking at their stock. I was just curious on this here.
Your boss seems to have a knack of finding good people.
Their stock crashed this month. Yeah, their stock crashed. So I'm not surprised, because usually when there's something wrong with a product, that their stock will crash, and so I'm not surprised by that. But also the thing is though is the worst handgun in the world. I think there's this there's this really terrible Japanese handgun. Somebody in the comments might know this one. I forget the name of it. It's a Nambu, but it's a World War II semi-automatic Japanese handgun. And the handgun was such a terrible handgun that if you were a Japanese soldier in World War II and you put that gun in your holster, it could actually go off. I forget which gun it is. Somebody might know in the comments. But it was a Japanese handgun that could actually go off on its own. And the thing is, even on a table, just touching the railing on the gun, I think it could actually go off. That is like the worst one. I think it might be the Type 14. Yeah, you might be right on that. But there was this idiot a couple years ago. This idiot who wanted to have that Nambu as his like carry gun. I don't know why somebody would use an old Japanese World War II handgun as their carry gun. That's like one of the worst things you could carry for self-defense. But there was some guy who wanted to have that as his handgun because he thought that it was cool. And what happened was the gun actually went off in his holster and shot him in the foot. He survived, but that was not a pleasant experience, as you can imagine. So that's, I don't know what kind of an idiot would carry that thing around. But that was a, yeah. Nambu, it's not Type 94. Nambu Type 94. Is it that one? Yeah. It was such a terrible design that it could just go off on its own. It was stupid, you know. I don't know who the idiot was who designed that thing, but our new hire had a P320. He had his duty belt off and was adjusting it when I walked inside, and P320 was pointing right at me. I froze for a second and yelled at him. It's good you yelled at him. That's very reckless, and he's also having a handgun that's dangerous too. You know, that's one of the most unsafe unsafe handguns. PM63 is a Polish SMG, doesn't go off, but people loaded it with the PM63, the thing about it was designed for Polish tank crews, but the really stupid thing about the PM63 is the iron sights are actually on the slide. So when the gun is actually going off, the slide is actually moving back and forth. So you have to just, if you fire the thing fully automatic, you're going to see, you know, the sights just move back and forth, and it's going to really confuse you. So that's what I'll say about the PM63. That was the problem with it. Hey Anthony, how are you doing, dude? Do I own a shotgun? Only one. The Browning Auto 5. It's actually, I actually have it in Red Dead here. This shotgun, this one, I do have this one in real life, this same one. What is the worst country? Worst country in the world? That one's easy. North Korea. What's a PDW? Personal defense weapon? PDW, I think it's supposed to be like a submachine gun, but I think it's smaller than a submachine gun. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I know that's what it stands for, PDW, but it's, yeah, that's... I don't know much about those. I want to move to Montana in my mid-20s. I'm tired of tourist traffic and drama. Well, General... Montana is a great state, but here's the thing. If you're going to move to Montana, make sure you're prepared for the winters. Because you're from Florida. You grew up in Florida. And I'm telling you, Montana's a very, very different climate than Florida. So just be prepared for that. Bro, you missed my current event stories. What's your question, D? Can you tell me? What's your favorite hobby besides video games and doing YouTube? Probably reading history. It's fine you like winters. Just know that a winter in Montana is very different than a winter in Florida. Just know that. But I will tell you something. I'm a cold guy. Like, I'm used to the cold. I like cold, so cold is fine for me. But I will tell you, when I moved to the upper Midwest, I saw something I've never seen before in my life. You know what that was? Snowstorms in October. I have never in my life in New York, all the years I've lived in my life in New York, I've never seen a snowstorm in October. I saw a snowstorm in October in the Midwest. So this is letting you know that the I don't live in Montana. I live in the Midwest, but Montana I can imagine would also have storms at that time. You know, winter starts, you know, early in those places. Why do you think history is important? For understanding our world today and also making sure we don't repeat the same mistakes in the past. Current event is Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah, you're talking about the guy who got arrested at Chuck E. Cheese, right? I can do a video on it this week coming up if you want that, D. It'll just be like Monday or Tuesday if that's okay with you, because on the weekend I'm just really busy with Mafia. He should be called a historian. Thank you, Sammy. Yo, Professional, that GTA video you made called Grinding Better Than Modding, Glitching, and Buying Shark Cards. I have grinded and bought shark cards before, but I don't mod or glitch. Yeah, well, it's, I know you say you bought shark cards, but you don't really need to buy shark cards to be successful on the game. But you know, hey, at least you know you didn't glitch and you didn't mod. But yeah, you can pretty much have everything you want on GTA without having to resort to glitches, shark cards, or modding. Or Battlefield 6 stream, I'll have to look at it. Maybe I could try to do one tomorrow. Have I heard about the 1980 Mount St. Helens volcano eruption in the U.S. state of Washington? It killed over 50 people. No, I actually did not heard about that one. Thank you, Sebi, for the super chat. Mount St. Helens volcano explosion. The most dangerous volcano that we have in the U.S. is in Yellowstone, but like the chances of that going off is like very, less than like 0.001%. I know that volcano, if that volcano went off, like, it could actually, pretty much all the mountain states and the Midwestern states could be engulfed in ash. That's how powerful that volcano is. Are you liking Mafia the Old Country so far? You should look at the map, it's so beautiful. Do you think Mafia game is a true competitor to GTA? Not really. The reason I don't think it's really a competitor to GTA is because it's made by the same publisher, so it can't really be a competitor if it's made by the same publisher. Take-Two is making money from Mafia, and they're making money through GTA. And also, on top of that, Mafia doesn't have an online mode, which, I wouldn't mind if they had an online, mode to Mafia. I know the Mafia games are supposed to be story-based, don't get me wrong, but they could maybe make a spin-off Mafia game one day that's, like, online. Like, something like, Making a Family Online or something like that. You missed current event suggestion comment. Can you tell me it again, Ephelist? You don't have to super chat if you can just post it again. I'm sorry, it's a lot of people that are, posting. Have I ever been to Wisconsin? Yes, I've driven through Wisconsin. Pro, I believe in God, and when I watched this gamer video, and when the scammer said, God knows the best, and disgust me, and make me sick to my stomach because I believe in God. Are you talking about my video when I was messing with the scammers, and they kept telling me that they're a Christian and they believe in God? Is that the one that you're talking about? But the thing is, scammers will use religion, to get to people. And the thing is, it works tricking a lot of people. It does, because especially like elderly people, when somebody tells them that they're a Christian and that they believe in God and God is their witness and stuff like that, for a lot of elderly people that means a lot. And so when somebody says that to an elderly person, they tend to trust them. And so that's I will say these scammers are very disgusting people, very evil people, very horrible people. There was that scammer who kept telling me he's a Christian, that he's a man of God and all this other stuff, and I knew it was a scam, and he still wouldn't stop, and he still kept, pushing that stuff, over and over again. But I kept messing with him. I trolled him for like 2 hours. I pissed him off on the phone for like 2 hours, but that was, yeah, they will do anything. The thing is, these scammers will go to any limit to get your money, any limit. And the thing is, these scammers, they think that they're entitled to your money. They think your money is their money, and they will do anything to get it. Are scammers robbers? Not technically, they're thieves. Because a robber is somebody who takes something from you by force. So if somebody, walks up to you with a gun or a knife and says, give me your money, that's robbery. They're taking something by force. A thief is something when somebody tricks you into giving something to them, or if they take something when you're not aware. That's the difference between thieving and robbing. People think it's the same, but it's not. Robbing also has more serious consequences to it. Now, if you're supposed to meet a scammer and the scammer is tricking you into giving them money, and then you decide, I'm not going to give you money, and the scammer still forces you to give the money, at that point, that's a robbery. Should Pearson return for Call of Duty Korean War? Yes. The thing about the if Call of Duty if Call of Duty did a Korean War, if they did a Korean War, I want to see them bring back the Call of Duty World War II characters if they did a Korean War. And the thing about Pearson is that type of guy that I could see him serving in Korea 100%. Like, the military is his life, it's his career, so I could definitely see him serving in Korea. Daniels would not be in Korea, though. Daniels is done after, after helping to defeat Nazi Germany. He just wants to go back to his farm in Texas and raise his child, so he would never go back in the military, unless there's a draft, though, because there was a draft in Korea. But I could never see him volunteering to go back in the military. He felt he did his duty by defeating Hitler, helping to defeat Hitler, but that was that. Call of Duty World War II sucked? No, Call of Duty World War II didn't suck. The story was great. Maybe you can say what you want about the multiplayer, but the story was great. The story was really good in Call of Duty World War II. It was one of the best Call of Duty storylines. You stopped scammers in Nigeria and reported them to the Nigerian police, in which they didn't respond. Remember? Oh yeah, I remember. The Nigerian police did absolutely nothing. Nothing. I will tell you something. The Nigerian Cybercrimes Division is probably the biggest waste of taxpayer money on this planet. It is a cybercrime division that does absolutely nothing. Nothing whatsoever. Now, I know there's good cops in Nigeria, don't get me wrong, that, want to do the right thing, but I'm talking about the Cybercrimes Division. I'm talking about them. The Cybercrimes Division of Nigeria, the biggest waste of taxpayers' money for any police department ever on this planet. The fact that Nigeria even has a Cybercrimes, division, and they do nothing. Nothing whatsoever. Like, these scammers are just, popping up all over the place, stealing from so many people, and they're doing nothing. And the Cybercrimes Division, here's what I'll tell you about them. Do you know what they're busy doing? You know what they did? The corruption in Nigeria is so bad. Like, Nigeria has such bad corruption. It is so bad. The corruption in Nigeria is even worse than the corruption in India. Much worse. So, like, Nigeria is one of the most corrupt countries on the planet. And what happened with the Nigerian Cybercrimes Division, there was this woman. She was a Facebook influencer. She had 20,000 followers on Facebook. She bought this tomato paste from a supermarket in Nigeria, and the tomato paste that she bought was one of the most common brands in Nigeria. Now, she said that the tomato paste was too sugary. She left a review saying it was too sugary. The CEO of the company saw her review and he got pissed off, and he told her to take the review down. She refused to take the review down. So what that CEO did was he contacted the Cybercrimes Division, and the Cybercrimes Division arrested that woman for posting a Facebook review. He accused her of damaging the reputation of the company by posting like a negative review about the tomato paste, and so that woman got arrested. And here's the crazy thing: that woman was also pregnant, and she's facing 7 years in prison. 7 years in prison for leaving a bad review on some tomato paste in a supermarket in Nigeria. And that the CEO had that much power that he was able to influence the Nigerian Cybercrimes Division. And the story gets even worse. If you think this is bad, the story gets worse. Her baby actually died. She had a miscarriage. And I bet you this, the fact that she was arrested and this stress, this facing 7 years in prison, I guarantee you this contributed to her losing the baby. I guarantee you this had an effect on it. This did. And so that was it. So that's what I would say is the Nigerian Cybercrimes Division are a bunch of scumbags. Like, I will insult that police force. I will talk crap to that police force. They're a bunch of, bastards, excuse my language. And also, when I did that video, when I called them, like, it was like a year and a half ago, and I called them and I started yelling at them, that is probably the only video that you will ever see me yelling at somebody. Like, I don't think there's a video of me ever yelling at anybody in a video on my entire channel. And I think that's probably the only video on my channel. And I got pissed. I yelled at the cops on the phone, like Nigerian cops. Like, I got mad. I yelled at them. It wasn't about this thing, the tomato story. That's not why I called them. The reason that I called the Nigerian Cybercrimes Division was because I had tracked a bunch of these scammers down. There was like these scammers that were running these investment scams in Nigeria, and I tracked a bunch of them down, like different scammer groups. And what I did was I tricked the investment scammers into clicking Grabify links, and I got their IP addresses. And I saw what city they were in, what internet provider they were using. I reported their website. I gave the I sent emails to the Cybercrimes Division, and I sent them emails with the scammer's IP address, the text chat, me texting the scammer's phone number. I sent them the scammer's website, everything like that, and they told me, we'll get back to you in a week. No response whatsoever. And then I reported another scammer. I get an automated response. We'll get back to you in a week. And I kept calling them because I wanted them to actually do something about that. They would not help. They would not respond. When I called the guy, he told me that everybody's busy on vacation right now. And it was like, I called like around Christmas time. But here's the thing is, if you're gonna have like a cybercrimes division, you can't just say that to people. You can't say to people that that they are that everybody's on vacation, because even I understand that less people are gonna be working like around the holidays. I fully get that, but you still need to have at least one cop that can file reports. You can't tell me that there's one cop that that can't file reports or at least listen to me. And I yelled at the cop, and I told the cop that, like, I have no faith in you guys. You guys are going to do nothing about it. You guys are not going to call me back. And the cop screamed at me. He yelled at me on the phone. He did. It's a video on my channel. Well, look up the video, not me calling the Nigerian police. It's like, I think it's called, I called the Nigerian Cybercrimes Police. And he yelled at me. I yelled back at him on the phone. It's probably one of the few only times I yelled at somebody, because I wasn't having it. I tried being nice to them. I called them multiple times. I was being respectful, and I was running out of patience at that point. I was just pissed. I was mad. And I was not gonna, I was not gonna have this BS anymore at this point. So that's basically what I'll say about that. That is one of the most, the Nigerian Cybercrimes Division. This is the most, corrupt police force that I think I've ever dealt with personally. I know there's more corrupt police units than the Nigerian Cybercrimes Police, I get that, but out of all the police departments I've ever dealt with in my life, this has been the worst police department I have ever dealt with in my life, and the worst, response, the worst, people talking to me. And the thing is, no police officer that has professional, training is going to talk to somebody like that. Even if a police officer is dealing with, like, a, I don't know what this is that we joined, by the way. I'm gonna get out of here, because I don't want to do this mode here. But, basically what I'll say is, no police officer that has, like, proper training is going to talk to somebody like that. Like, if there's somebody making a complaint, police officers are trained to deal with aggressive people. Like, I studied law enforcement in school. I got a bachelor's degree in law enforcement technology. Several of my teachers told us that if you're dealing with somebody that's aggressive, if you're dealing with somebody that's mad, you try to calm them down, you try to reason with them, you try to, diffuse the situation. That's how, police departments are trained. But the fact that this cop gave me an attitude, and he screamed at me on the phone when I told him that I have no faith in you guys, stopping these scammers, arresting these scammers. That was basically it. I didn't feel bad going off on those people. It was probably one of the few times I was rude to somebody, but it was like the cops were just not helping. They were not doing anything about it. And I felt like, they were letting people, scammers, these scammers basically do whatever they want and, like, steal from people. And, people were getting, ripped off, and they were, and so that's basically it. It was the Nigerian cybercrimes was the worst, police force I dealt with. And Ephelis, I'm sorry, let me look at your comment. It involves Amazon in Quebec, where Amazon lays off roughly 5,000 workers in Quebec to bust their union, but you probably won't read it, but if you do, great. Amazon is a crappy company, Ephelis, and Amazon, I know Amazon, did a lot of these anti-union videos, and they do treat their workers like crap. Like, one of my friends, he worked for Amazon. He never worked in the facility, but he was a driver, and he told me how he had this, like, phone thing that the supervisor would constantly text him on. Like, it was like every, 2 or 3 minutes, the supervisor was asking for an update, like, where are you? What are you doing right now? Are you in this place right now? Like, what's going on? Stuff like that. It's like, there's traffic, I'm not gonna speed, I have to get there. But that was, that's the thing with Amazon. Yeah, Gunner, I could. But yeah, that's basically what I'll say about the Nigerian cybercrimes division. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know what that was, but that's like they are probably doing nothing. Nothing. They're probably doing nothing in that office. And here's the thing about this, guys. I'll tell you this. A lot of these scammers, like telemarketer scammers and stuff like that, like you have like countries like, for example, like India and Nigeria. Those are like two countries where you have like these scammers calling into America. And it's not just Americans. They call Canadians, they call Australians. They will typically call English speaking countries. And a lot of the people in Nigeria speak English. A lot of people in India speak English. And so they will go after these English speaking countries. And the main reason that they target Americans, the main reason they do that is because they know that if the scammer knows if they steal from an American, that there is no consequences whatsoever, like almost none. So like if a scammer in Nigeria steals from some like old woman in America, pretending to be her boyfriend or her husband that she wants to marry. That's what they do, the romance scams a lot of times. If he manages to steal a ton of money from her, she will never see that money back. And the thing is, the Nigerian government will do nothing about that. The Nigerian police will do nothing about that. It's the same thing in India. A lot of times the Indian police, they do nothing about this too. The scammers, they target Americans, Canadians, Australians, British people. They'll do nothing about it. But I will say though, is India is at least trying. India is at least getting better and cracking down on these scammers, where like Nigeria is doing nothing, nothing to really stop it. At least India's making an attempt. That's what I'll say about that. But the thing about India is that most of these scams in India, most of them are in West Bengal. That's the place where most of them are coming from, like specifically Kolkata. And it's because that region in India it's the most corrupt part of India, is West Bengal. West Bengal is the most corruption out of any area in India. And so you won't see as many scammers from like Delhi or Mumbai or places like that, because those places have much less corruption and the government's doing a much better job there. But like West Bengal, the government in West Bengal is extremely corrupt, and that's why whenever you watch those videos like Scammer Payback and he like tracks the scammers, the reason that the scammers are always in Kolkata is because Kolkata in West Bengal, it's like the most corrupt part of India. It's the most it has the most amount of corruption. But I will say though that the as for I don't know where the scammers operate in Nigeria. It's probably the same places as in India. But I will say though, India could literally ban 95% of scammers overnight. You know what they could do to really stop this scamming problem? India needs to pass a federal law. And that federal law basically says that any landlord that rents out their property to scammers, like to scam groups, will pay massive, fines. And if those fines are not paid, they will confiscate the property. The government will confiscate the property and auction it off and sell it to somebody. And I guarantee you, if they pass that law, 95% of these scammers will be out of the job. Like the landlords would kick them out so quickly they would throw them out, because the scammers, when they operate in India, they don't own the building that they're operating in. They're oftentimes renting out a floor from a landlord in an office building. And does the landlord know they're scammers? Yes, the landlord knows that they're scammers, because if you're renting out an office building, you are gonna know exactly what people are doing on your floor. And only an idiot landlord would not figure out that it's a scam. Only an idiot would rent out to a company without realizing that it's a scam. So like anybody who does enough research on a company, you can find out if it's a scam, if they're renting out your floor. And so landlords would not want that in India. They would be scared of the fines, scared of losing their property, and they would just remove like literally 90% of these scammers overnight. But India has not passed that law, and because the landlords know that the scammers are going to pay them more money than regular companies, because the scammers are making so much money stealing, and so they just don't care. They have no incentive to really stop it. But that's basically all they need to do, is just pass a federal law that landlords will be held liable if there are scammers operating in their building, renting out floors. Would you visit New Zealand at some point? There's a lot of cool stuff to see down here. Hey, Snowy Imp, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, and New Zealand I know has a little bit colder temperatures than Australia, so I would like it too. I like generally colder temperatures. I don't like the extreme heat, but yeah, I would be open to visiting visiting New Zealand. Pro, I thought the Nazis were all for privatization, since a lot of private businesses were allowed to keep operating as long as they do whatever the party says. The Nazis were not a pro-free market, pro-capitalist party. It was a very market-controlled economy. They controlled the economy heavily. They regulated the economy heavily. And these companies were allowed to exist in Nazi Germany. They were allowed to make profits, but they were there ultimately to serve the state. That's what it was. Where the difference in the Soviet Union, that no private companies were allowed to operate. What country of Africa is so safe? The safest country in Africa? I would say the safest country in Africa is Botswana. Yeah, but I would say probably Botswana is probably the safest country in Africa. Botswana is a great country, because the backstory behind that country is that they were a former British colony, and right when they got their independence, they found large diamond reserves, and they're extremely lucky that they found those diamond reserves after Britain left, because if they were still a colony, Britain would have stolen all that, looted their country. But they found those diamond reserves, and what the Botswanans did was they invested that diamond money back into their country. They built hospitals, railroads, schools, large urban centers, roads. They modernized their country pretty quickly. And so if you look at Botswana's economy just on a chart, their economy just grew so much, after they invested all of that diamond money back into the country. A lot of other countries in that region, when they found diamonds, because there are a lot of African countries that find diamonds, a lot of other countries, when they found diamonds, you know what happens? It goes in the leader's pocket. It does not go back in the country. But Botswana was a country that they invested back in their people. They helped their people. And that country is probably, probably the best country to live in there. Yeah, the least corrupt country, and probably, I would say, probably the best standards of living, too. It's not a very populated country, like 5 million people, but the country was also ruled by a king. But what the king did was he actually gave up power because he wanted to be a prime minister. So he resigned his throne, he gave up his throne, and then he ran as prime minister, and he became prime minister. And he was a very popular prime minister in Botswana, and he really, saved the country. So that's so yeah, Botswana is a great country. Is generally, yeah. The reason a lot of other countries in that region have problems is because corruption. That's the primary reason. And instead of building wells and roads and schools and hospitals for the people, you know what the government does? Another politician needs another luxury car. That's basically more important than building stuff for the people. Hey Pro, how would you deal with a mouse? We have glue traps, snap, and poison traps. It's been 3 weeks, and we still nothing. I keep seeing it at my house. Sorry for the this question. If I had a mouse problem, I probably would get an exterminator. I would probably call somebody, and I would probably tell somebody to get rid of this. That's probably what it would be about. I wouldn't want to touch it. I wouldn't probably want to get near it. I probably would just call an exterminator. That's probably what I would and don't get near it because it could have diseases too. People think that mice are cleaner than rats, which generally they are, but they also could carry diseases. So just stay away from that thing, and I would just call it exterminator. That's probably what I would do, and they would probably deal with it. Hey Pro, and thank you, nicest person in the universe. Hey Pro, have you heard of a YouTuber called Gator Keys who's making videos on GTA 5 mysteries? The answers he proposes are ones that I think people just don't think about, and the best part is he doesn't clickbait. Gator Keys. Let me look up this guy here. Gator Keys. Have I seen this guy's channel before? I would have to see one of his videos to see if I've seen him before. Gator Keys. No, I don't think I've I never seen this channel before, but I did subscribe to him. This is the end of the Mount Chiliad mystery. The sewer gator mystery finally solved. I'll look into this channel a little bit later, Bokan. Do you know about Bad Infos? He's a GTA YouTuber. Isn't that the guy from? He's a foreign YouTuber, right? I forget what country he's from. He's not American. But I think I've seen him before. I remember him. He had Yeah, I remember him. He had an accent, but I don't remember what country he's from. Bulgaria. Okay. Pro, also, when Botswana first gained independence, the entire country only had 12 kilometers of paved road and was less than 1% of the population graduated college. Subsistence farming was still the norm. And Botswana is a perfect example that any country, if they get rid of corruption, they can turn their country around. And, you know, the progress that Botswana has made as a country is truly impressive. Like, I would call that the Singapore of Africa. Like, Botswana is a very successful country. It is a very they literally went from from being a former British colony to being a very, you know, an economic giant in Africa. They did a really good job with their country. The reason that so many countries don't want to follow that example is because of corruption. Because too many politicians, like I said, they want to buy their luxury cars instead of actually helping the people. I'll do another Mafia 2 playthrough cosplay, yes. Do I think the resource curse is real? Are you talking about when your country has resources that other countries are going to try to take advantage of you? Is that what you're talking about, Gunner?
Hey, who's that?
Resources can both be a blessing and a curse, because it can help a poor country, you know, get a massive head start, and it can help a poor country really grow its economy and build its infrastructure. But at the same time, too, is you can have, you know, powers that are going to come in and exploit. I seriously just miss all those shots. Okay. I hit him, but he's running. Come on, horse, let me get on. Oh no, come on. When are you gonna upload the next part of the old country? Right after this. Oh my god, this horse is being so stupid right now.
Have you lost it there?
Is Canon Lynch still part of the Hitman universe? Technically, yes. But the IO doesn't own the rights to it anymore. Pro, what do you think the Italian government should have done about the people who ran and supervised the sulfur mines that used Carusi boys? The same thing that I think should happen to anybody who owns slaves, the death penalty. Anybody who owns people as property, anybody who owns slaves, I think they should get the death penalty. That's what I think about that. Is I think anybody who, you know, forcibly, you know, enslaves another person, you know, forcibly uses another person as labor, does not let them leave, I think that somebody like that should get the death penalty. That's I have no toleration for stuff like that. That is like one of the most worst, crimes that you can commit is enslaving somebody. Any history movies that you've watched? Well, I've watched a lot of them. That should happen to child traffickers too. Yeah, I agree with you. What should the Italian government do about the Carusi boys if their minds are closed now? Well, the Italian government has the obligation to care for them then and make sure they get a decent education and decent lives. Oh yeah, I watched We Were Soldiers when I was a kid. I remember that one. But my favorite movie that he did was the Patriot. The Patriot was my favorite movie. That one. I thought that one was really good.
Shit.
The next episode, Mafia: The Old Country, after the stream today. Hey, Pro, I see cheap luxury cars on Facebook Marketplace, like Audis and BMWs, like for under 5,000 cars, and I'm wondering if I should get one. If it's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. A really easy way is to see if it's a scam. Just text them on Facebook Marketplace and ask them, do you have a clean title? Just ask them that. And if they don't respond to you, it's a scam. That's it. It's they probably stole the car. All Quiet on the Western Front, that was a great movie. I've seen the 1930s movie, and I've seen the 1970s movie, but I haven't seen the remake.
You son of a bitch.
Hey, Mario, how you doing? Wait, what, D? Yeah, I'll play Mafia 2, yeah. Have you ever watched MASH? MASH is like the 1960s Korean War show. No, I've never watched it, but I know it. Was that in the Italian campaign, Gunner? Is that YouTube AI thing that's coming out on the 13th, is that going to be for everyone? Or is it only in the UK? MASH ran from 1972 to 1983. Oh, I thought it was 60s. My bad then. My bad then.
This is going to be a long ride. Your reward.
It was Gunner, yeah. But I think the battles, I think the war that had the highest altitude battles in history is that war between India and Pakistan that happened in the 70s. I think that was the war that had the highest altitude battles, like the highest heights where battles happened. Worst light machine gun in World War II? I don't know, really, on that one. I can't really think of a bad light machine gun in World War II. Maybe the Japanese Type 11 because it had such a small magazine. Well, the Shawshet was the worst one in World War I, but it was the American version of Shawshet. How's Mafia the Old Country? Oh, it's a great game. I'm enjoying it a lot. Awesome entertainer guy. Thank you for the super chat. I will play a true crime games one day. They did, Menace. Yep. The new Spider-Man movie's being filmed in Glasgow. 8 out of 10. Wait, what? Were you mad when you learned that Vietnam veterans were mistreated by protesters? Oh, yeah. And the thing is, though, is that, Vietnam veterans are still mistreated today. The thing is, though, is that I would say that when it comes to the Vietnam War, the U.S. did not just lose the Vietnam War; they also lost the information war, the propaganda war. Because nobody is better at spreading propaganda than communists. Communists have been the most effective in history at spreading propaganda. Communist propaganda has even been more effective than Nazi propaganda at brainwashing people. It is their propaganda has been so effective, and the communists spread so much propaganda that, like, literally when people think of the Vietnam War, because of the communist propaganda, they think that the Viet Cong were like heroic freedom fighters that were defending their country, and that the Americans were just like evil imperialists that just wanted to come over and just pillage their country and kill all of them. That is basically like the propaganda that, like, it's gotten so bad that, like, you know, people think that the U.S. was like Nazi Germany in Vietnam, which is just not true. So that's basically what I'll say about that, is that the U.S. has lost that information war so badly. Like, you have kids in America that, you know, grow up like college kids, like, that basically think like American soldiers were like pure evil in the Vietnam War, and they think that they were just, you know, murdering babies. That's what, like, a lot of college kids, like, think, for example. What's up, Pro? Thank you, Carvin, for the super chat. How are you doing, dude? I went to New York and I went on a Mafia tour. It was very fun. Oh, thank you, awesome entertainer guy. What do you mean Mafia tour? Like, you went to a museum or like visiting landmarks? Thank you, awesome entertainer. Oh yeah, the Americans that the Americans that, you know, did the My Lai massacre were definitely evil. I would agree with you on that. There was, you know, American atrocities that happened in the Vietnam War, but the thing is, this was not like, you know, policy of the U.S. This was a you know, unit that, you know, went crazy, did bad things, you know, did horrible things in My Lai, you know. And what people don't know about the My Lai massacre is they don't know that it was actually an American helicopter pilot that stopped it and reported it. That's what people don't know about it. So it was it was like a heroic American pilot that did help to stop it. But yeah, those soldiers, I will agree with you, were evil. But the point that I'm getting at to you is that if you compare like the U.S. and the Viet Cong on you know, both, you know, you just compare both sides to each other, and even the NVA, you know, the U.S. isn't perfect, but the Viet Cong were evil. Like, the Viet Cong overall as a group were evil. Like, you know, they were a terrorist organization. That's what they were. And, you know, people think that they were like heroic freedom fighters when the Viet Cong were just evil. They were horrible people. The Viet Cong terrorized their own people. People don't know that. Hello, Pro. I hope your day is good. Have you watched the King of the Hill reboot yet? It's surprisingly good, I'll tell you that. I have to watch the old episodes first before I get to it. I want to watch the older episodes first of it before I get to it. Mafias operated all over Italy, but the biggest ones were always in Sicily. Thank you, DHC Network. But I gotta watch the King of the Hill again. About Van Lem, the guy in the Saigon execution photo. In Vietnam, they didn't deny that he was a Viet Cong. Yeah. They're probably denying that he committed those atrocities. That's probably what they were denying. But they didn't deny he was Viet Cong. And I don't think they really could deny that he was Viet Cong, was because his wife even admitted that they were Viet Cong agents. But there's that picture, Gunner. That picture of Van Lem's execution is probably sums up the entire Vietnam War. That picture, just what the entire Vietnam War information war was like. That picture sums up the entire war. But for people that don't know what I'm talking about, there's this famous picture that's of the Vietnam War. It's called the Saigon execution. I can't show it on here because the video will probably get demonetized. I did talk about it in my Black Ops playthrough, but it's a picture of a South Vietnamese colonel that shoots a Viet Cong prisoner in the face of his revolver. It's like the second that the picture is being taken, like you see him shoot the Viet Cong prisoner. But what people don't know, an American reporter from the New York Times took that picture, and when that picture was actually taken, that turned the public's view against the war, because people believed that that South Vietnamese colonel was evil and this was like an innocent prisoner. But the reality of it was, the guy that actually got shot in that picture was actually the evil one. The guy that was actually shot in that picture, he was a Viet Cong captain, and during the Tet Offensive, him and his Viet Cong buddies went around planting explosives and terrorizing people, killing people, attacking American soldiers, and they broke into a South Vietnamese police captain's home. And what they did was they demanded that South Vietnamese police captain teach them how to drive tanks. And the police captain refused. And what happened is, after the police captain refused, they murdered the police captain. That guy, he killed the police captain, he killed the police captain's wife, and killed 3 of his children, and also killed his mother, the grandmother of the children. So, an elderly woman. And there was only one child that ended up surviving, and that child who survived got shot multiple times, but he made a full recovery. Later, he came to America. But that's basically it, is that when people look at that picture, they see a picture of some guy, a prisoner being executed, and they think that, oh, I feel bad for this guy, this guy's an innocent victim of the Americans and the South Vietnamese. But they don't know the guy was a child killer. He literally killed a bunch of children, and that South Vietnamese general, he was a general, not a colonel, the South Vietnamese general who killed the guy, he probably didn't do the right thing killing him there. The guy should have probably gone to trial. But if he had gone to trial, the same thing would have happened. It would have been a death penalty. The guy would have gotten hung. But what happened was that picture was taken, and then people basically got the wrong impression about that picture, and they thought that the picture, that it was an innocent guy being executed, when in reality the guy was a guy who killed a bunch of children. Nobody weeps for the children that guy killed, and instead the public weeps for the child killer. They think that the child killer was an innocent man that had been executed. The South Vietnamese general was angry about that, angry about the children that had gotten killed, and just took out his revolver and shot the guy. That's what it was. The backstory behind that. But that South Vietnamese general, he had his life ruined. His life was ruined by that picture, because everybody thought that he was a murderer from that picture. And the New York Times reporter who took that picture, he regretted taking that picture, because he said that he ruined that guy's life, because he made that guy look like he was evil. So that's people don't know. It's a picture only tells you so much. It's important to know context. It's important to know what about the picture, what's going on in the picture exactly, the backstory behind it. But that's the misinformation that was in the Vietnam War. Mafia Old Country's great. The stupidest thing that George Lucas said was that the Rebel Alliance was the Viet Cong. That is, yeah, I agree with you. That is just, it's a stupidity. Trying to base, the Rebel Alliance is not the Viet Cong. The Viet Cong could be compared to maybe, Saw Gerrera's Rebel faction, because how brutal they were, but not the Rebel Alliance. So that's what I'll say about that. Comparing the Viet Cong to the Rebel Alliance in Star Wars is, that's stupid. Former NYPD officers told us about a true story and told us how Mafia members died and the tour ended at Little Italy. Oh, okay, awesome entertainer guy. Thank you for the super chat. What are your thoughts on Ho Chi Minh? I think that Ho Chi Minh was a scumbag. The thing about Ho Chi Minh is, Ho Chi Minh, there's a lot of misinformation spread about him. Like, there's a lot of, like, false information that's spread around about him. Like, one of the biggest false things that I see people say about him, they say that Ho Chi Minh respected America. That he respected America, and that he, like, idolized America, and that he wanted Vietnam to be like America, and that America betrayed him, and then he became, like, a communist. That's all BS. None of that stuff is true. That's just propaganda that you hear. Here's the reality of it. Ho Chi Minh worked with the U.S. during World War II, so he was a resistance fighter that was in Vietnam, and the American OSS helped him, and not only that, they treated him. So he was actually sick, and they treated him. I don't remember what he had, but they did treat him for whatever sickness that he did have. So they did provide him weapons intelligence in his fight against the Japanese. But about Ho Chi Minh never admired America. He never liked America. There was not one point where he idolized America. He always hated America, despised America his entire life. Even when he was young, during like right after World War I, when he was like in his 20s, like around that time, he was a member of the French Communist Party. He was always a communist. His entire life he was a communist. He was a member of the French Communist Party. He hated the U.S. The reason that people say that he liked the U.S. and he admired the U.S. is because the Vietnamese Declaration of Independence is similar to the American Declaration of Independence, where they say we hold these truths to be self-evident. You know, all men are created equal. That is very similar to the Vietnamese one, but America's was like that. America's Declaration of Independence was a very popular Declaration of Independence that was all over the world, and a lot of countries had similar mottos to that. So that doesn't mean that they liked America, they respected America, just because they had that in their constitution and in their Declaration of Independence. So that's basically what I'll say about Ho Chi Minh is, Ho Chi Minh was never liked America. He was never a, friend to America. And people always say, oh, America betrayed him and stuff like that. That is not true. He always despised America. There was never one point where the closest time that America and Ho Chi Minh were friends was during World War II, when we helped them against the Japanese. That was the closest time, but we weren't even friends. We were more of like, I would say, associates, fighting against the Japanese. That's basically what it was. Like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's what it was. Like, we knew that Ho Chi Minh was a communist when we helped him in Vietnam during World War II, but the reason that we helped them is because the Japanese were the problem. And we were fighting against the Japanese Empire. And so we wanted to take down Imperial Japan, and so we helped Ho Chi Minh and his rebels in Vietnam. That's what it was about. How did the Polish education system teach students about Piłsudski, since he had a quite cult of personality? The thing about Piłsudski is Piłsudski was not the one who actually made the cult of personality. It was actually his supporters that made the cult of personality around him. He actually did not like that. He wasn't a fan of that. He didn't like that stuff. Ho Chi Minh City was formerly called Saigon. It was renamed Ho Chi Minh in 1976. That's true, but a lot of people still call it Saigon today. Gunner here, he lives in Saigon. He calls it Saigon. So there are still people that call it Saigon. So it's not it's named after the communist leader, but there's still people that call it Saigon. Can you do your old man voice? And I can't feel bad when you do it because these old person are getting guilt tripped basically to send the scammers money. Okay, when I do my old man voice, when it's the second part of Mafia the Old Country coming out, right after the stream today. So it'll be right after the stream. I actually might get a flush from this. I hope, if I get one more diamond, I can actually get a flush. Let's see if I can get a flush. But about the old man voice, let me see. When I did the old man voice, I would do it against scammers. Oh, come on, let's need one more diamond. I would do it to piss off scammers. And I would, say the same thing. I'd say, hello, my name is Alex Mason. I served in the Cuban Missile Crisis. I protected Florida from communism. That's what I would always say, that I fought in the Cuban Missile Crisis and I protected Florida from communism. And the scammers are so stupid when I say that to them on the phone. I always say the same thing. And the scammers are so dumb that they don't even realize the Cuban Missile Crisis wasn't an actual war that we fought in. Like I always say that I protected Florida from communism, and they laugh so much when people laugh at my videos, but the scammers are so stupid, like they don't realize that I'm messing with them when I say that. Oh, I have a straight here. I actually have better at 10 high straight. That's actually really good. Okay, I'm gonna win this hand. This hand is mine. Look at that. Yeah. You know the really funny thing is, my character in Red Dead looks like that one character in Mafia: The Old Country. I don't want to make spoilers, but you know who I'm talking about. But that's crazy, and I made that my character's design and his suit and his look and his face and his hairstyle even before the years before Mafia: The Old Country came out. I've never heard about him. I would have to look him up, Gunner. I still got bot comments in my video. Which video? Where is it? Oh, wait. Yeah, this is good here. Oh, everyone's folding. Okay. Spend another $1. Okay, let's see here. Now we're gonna go in for the kill here. Okay. There isn't that many hands that can beat this. He can still beat me, but I have a really good hand here. Let's see, I'm gonna risk it. Let's do it. Also, the reason I'm betting $1 on each hand is so they don't fold. People are a lot less likely to fold then. Oh, he went in with those cards? Oh, man. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna leave here. I did really good in that game. Okay, taking this with me here. Yeah, I can talk to him, Brandon. Coming back home from celebrating another full rotation around the sun for the 27th time. What, a night shift, Chaz? Thank you for the super chat. Everything okay? I know the Hungarian leaders also wanted to pursue democratic reforms, but the Soviets weren't having it in Hungary when they invaded. You know, back home from celebrating another full rotation around the sun for the 27th time. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know what you meant by celebrating another full rotation around the sun for the 27th time. I'm confused. That was a very technical way of wording that your birthday, was it? Well, happy birthday then, Chasseruni. Everyone wish Chasseruni happy birthday. Happy birthday, dude. I'm sorry. I was just confused by it. I didn't know what you were meant by that. I thought you meant a night shift at work. You know what and also, you know what the ironic thing about the Soviet Union is when you're talking about Czechoslovakia? The Soviet Union was that country that... Do you know what the Soviet Union's favorite word was? Imperialism. That was their favorite word. Because the Soviet Union would call every single country they didn't like, they would call imperialist. They would always say Western, capitalist, imperialist. That's what the Soviets would always say. They would call everybody an imperialist. Oh, you imperialist. You capitalist imperialist. You Western imperialist. That's what the Soviets would always say. But meanwhile, they invaded Hungary. They invaded Czechoslovakia. They invaded Poland. They invaded Finland. They invaded Georgia. They invaded... what else was it that they invaded? They invaded Afghanistan. There's a lot of places the Soviet Union invaded. And it's kind of ironic how they call everyone an imperialist, but yet they're one of the biggest imperialists on this planet. You know, they are the largest country in the world. The Soviet Union was the largest country that ever existed on this planet. And Russia is still the largest country today, but the Soviet Union was the largest country that ever existed on this planet. The amount of territory that they controlled. I think the Soviet Union might have even been bigger than the Mongolian Empire. I would have to look up exactly the territory, but they yeah, they were probably the largest country that existed on this planet, and they were calling everybody imperialist. How ironic. Why don't you play that many horror games? I guess that's not that into many horror games. I did play Outlast 1 and 2, if that counts. I did like the Outlast games. Thank you, Awesome Entertainer Guy. Thank you for the super chat.
Hello, sir.
You know, Soviet was like Joseph McCarthy, except instead of communist, and called him imperialist. Wait, yeah, I guess, yeah. In a way. Most of the time when the Soviets called somebody imperialist, they were not imperialist. It was them who were being the imperialists. I'm not appointing any moderators at the moment, Sammy. Thank you for asking, but I could consider you for the future. Anyone who abuses animals should be in prison for many years. The Polish activist who lit himself on fire to protest the invasion of Czechoslovakia. His name was slandered by the communist authorities. They called him insane. I'm gonna have to look this guy up. I've never heard of this guy. My father would definitely know, because my father knows Polish history so much, and he's read so many books, so if I ask my dad about that guy, he'll definitely know. But I've never heard of that guy. Okay, I guess I'll probably be wrapping up the stream here, guys. I'll answer a few questions before I go, so if you guys want to ask me anything before I go, I'll answer the questions. Also, I have another Mafia the Old Country part up in just a couple minutes. Just give me a couple minutes and I'll have another part up. Today was the 80th anniversary of Nagasaki bombing. Yes, you're right on that. And then Japan shortly surrendered. And then it was the Soviet invasion of Manchuria, and then Japan surrendered. Yes, I could, Zach. I could, It's very long, though. It has so many seasons, right? Sailor Moon, no, I've never watched that one. Want to play Warzone sometime? If I'm gonna play Warzone, though, it's gonna be DMZ. That's really the only thing I'm really gonna play. Maybe Plunder. I'll play on that, maybe. But DMZ or Plunder, that's really it. I don't really want to play Battle Royale. Alexander Litvinenko. He's that guy who got, he's that former FSB Russian agent who got poisoned. That was like 20 years ago when that happened. I remember that was a news story.
Would you watch it?
When's the next Yakuza stream? Probably next week. I know I said this week, but just the Mafia release, I just haven't had the time. I've been so busy with that. Next part of Mafia the Old Country I'll hit tonight. Yeah, I really needed... I'm so happy that Mafia the Old Country wasn't a disaster. I'm so happy. I was scared. Because Mafia the Old Country had no delays, and that's what made me so scared. I was scared that they were gonna mess it up. I was scared. But thankfully, Mafia the Old Country was, okay. It was a great game. I'm gonna have the next part out in like 10 or 15 minutes. But I guess I will be going here, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Who will win in a fight? Lucas Gray versus 4747. But thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed the stream today. If you did, do drop a like. It does help me out. I will have the next part of Mafia in like 10 or 15 minutes. So check in like 10 or 15 minutes and I'll have it up. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a wonderful weekend, guys.